that there is a difference between a brand, branding, and brand identity. So the very first thing I'll be helping you with this morning is to share with you the difference between brand, branding, and brand identity. They mean different things. You know, in this age and time where branding has become a buzzword, it's a very popular word everywhere on social media, on Google blogs, everywhere you see branding, brand. And many people use these words interchangeably without even knowing what they both represent and the impacts they play in your business. And the next thing I'll be helping you to understand as well is the difference between a personal brand and a corporate brand. What is a personal brand and what is a corporate brand? And what's the interrelationship between the two of them? Also, I'll be helping you understand the difference between branding and marketing. The difference between branding and marketing. You're welcome, sir. So many people still, confuse these two subject matters. They think branding is marketing, they think marketing is branding, and they don't know which one is which. And then, lastly, I'll be helping you to understand what it means to build a brand and what it means to build a business. It is possible that you can have a brand without a business. And it is possible that you can have a business without a brand. So they are mutually exclusive. All right. So let's address the first item on our list: brand, branding, and brand identity. What is a brand? A brand is first of all an impression that you create. A brand is an impression that you create. A brand is a gut feeling or an experience that you give to people. And a brand is a memory that you leave in the minds of people. If I'm going to summarize everything I've just written here as a definition of a brand is seen in three major areas. The first is the impression. The second is the experience. And the third is the memory. The impression, the experience, and then the memory. So I want to ask a question. How long does it take to form an impression about somebody you're meeting for the first time? Ma? Yes. Yes. To form an impression about someone you're just meeting for the first time. Okay, yeah. Okay, Ma, you have another opinion? Within 1 minute. Actually, it's lesser than that. Within 15 seconds. Within 15 seconds, maximum of 15 seconds, you've already formed an opinion. And that is how we walk through life. That is how we are able to manage our day. That is how we're able to manage our attention. Because forming opinions help you to quickly filter between what is important and what is not important, between which distraction to give your attention to and which one not to give your attention to. Because every day in fact, every minute you're bombarded with impulses, external impulses, social media, offline, on the streets. You're seeing so many things that are trying to grab your attention at the same time. So with that limbic system, you're able to filter what is important for you to give attention to and what is not important. So your brain functions in a way that it can form an opinion within maximum of 15 seconds. Does that make sense? So a brand is first of all an impression. Now, when you understand this, you become intentional about the impression you're giving to people. When you understand that you have just 15 seconds to create an impression. Does that make sense? Meaning your product has just 15 seconds to create an impression. Your service has just 15 seconds to create an impression.
For instance, your people empower products. Okay? And now you will have to do someone get that product. Everybody will be like this is what you are for the user lesson, the user purpose.
I will address the question, but what I just want to do now is run through this session. Then when it is Q&A time, I love that question. I'm going to address it. And perhaps you may even find the answer before we get to the end. All right, so impression, gut feeling, experience, memory. There is something that is very popular, a quote that is very popular in branding. We say your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. It's a popular quote about branding. Now, what that means is when people form impressions about you, the next thing they graduate to is having an experience. Okay, for instance, I'm just meeting you for the first time. Perhaps the way you walked into the room, the way you maybe asked a question or answered a question drew my attention, right? And then it gave me a positive impression about you. So maybe after the whole event, I come to meet you and I'm having an engagement, a conversation with you. During that conversation, I'm not having what? An experience. Impression was formed from a distance, right? It could be wrong, it could be right. I could have misjudged you, whatever. But at the experience level, I'm not getting to meet you one-on-one. Are you following? After that experience, I leave, go back to my place of work, go back to my house, wherever. And then as I'm going back, I'm reminiscing on the experience. What I'm left with is what? A memory. So you can see that it began with an impression or gut feeling, then graduated to an experience, then eventually graduated to what? That is how brands are built. That is how brands are formed. It's the same thing with products, with services. Does that make sense? So, when you understand all of these things, it helps you to know how to best position your brand, how to best communicate what your brand stands for, even before anyone gets to talk to you or talk with you. So you walk into a store or into a restaurant and you're seeing products on the shelf. From their design, you're already forming an impression. Even before a salesperson comes to talk to you, from the design, you're already forming what? An impression. Is it working? Thank you. And as much as possible, I want this class to be very practical. That's why I'm trying to use analogies and all of that so that you can understand how to apply what you're learning. So branding is not theory. Branding is very practical. When you understand that your impression matters, you then begin to know how to curate a proper impression about yourself. Let me give you another instance. 7 years ago, when I started Cloud Life Global, I started Cloud Life Global in my house, right on my dining table. And I asked myself a question. How do I want people to talk about me after I have served them? What feedback or reviews do I want people to give after I have finished serving them? I asked that question and I began to write down the things I felt is good enough, is noble enough for people to say about me. And after writing those things down, I asked myself again, what are the things I would need to observe? Behaviors, relationship skills, way of serving people that I will need to observe in order for them to see me in that light. Am I making sense to you? So I noted the things I need to start doing so that people can see me in the same image I want them to see me in. Does that make sense? Yeah. And what I needed to start doing was ensuring that every client I accept to work with, I began to portray those qualities intentionally, not hoping it will happen by accident, not doing it by God's grace. Yes, God's grace is available, but intentionally knowing that I want to be sure, I want to intentionally communicate honesty. I want to intentionally communicate transparency. I want to intentionally communicate professionalism, not with words. Are we together? But with the way I relate with the customer or with the client. Does that make sense? Within a year and a half, on our Google business profile, that's if you search on Google, Cloud Reliance Global, on our Google business profile, all those qualities began to reflect in the reviews people were giving us. It started in my mind, right on my dining table. It diffused into the actions and the behaviors. Are we together? And gradually, it was communicated and imprinted in the hearts of the people I worked with. It's 7 years down the line. We are no longer in one room, one dining table. We now have a proper, well-structured, business. And those ideologies I started with, those were the core foundational principles I used in building my team. Such that when I'm not there, even in my absence, my team can treat customers the same way I would have done it if I were to be the one. Am I making sense to you? Yes, sir. So brand building begins with yourself, you. How do you want people to see you? What impression are you trying to communicate or create about yourself? What do you want people to know you for? These are questions you have to ask before you say you want to brand. Does that make sense? So I've talked about the brand. The next thing is branding. Branding is every effort or attempt to. So when we are talking about branding, branding is like the verb, the action part of achieving the brand. Does that make sense? So every effort you put into trying to communicate something is an act of branding. It can be verbally. It can be subtly. You get what I'm saying? In fact, in communication, in the principles of communication, it is said that 80% of what you communicate is non-verbal. 80% of what you communicate is non-verbal. Meaning without you talking, you've already started communicating. Without you talking, you've already started communicating. From the way you look, you're communicating something. From the way you dress, you're communicating something. From the way you walk, you're communicating something. Before value is created, it is first of all communicated. Before value is created, it is first of all communicated. If you cannot successfully communicate the value, nobody will even give you a chance to create the value. Remember, another quote in branding is, there is no second chance to create a first impression. Have you heard that before? So sometimes if the impression goes wrong, sometimes you may not even have the second chance to make it right. I said sometimes because sometimes you could have the opportunity. Yeah, sometimes you could have the opportunity, but not all the time. So that is why intentionality is very important when you're building a brand. And branding or building a brand, they are not just some fancy new age words that we just woke up to, in the age of social media. No. No. If you're thinking about something called legacy, if you're thinking about something called a reputation, if you're thinking about something called impact and influence, whether you like it or not, you must understand what branding is. And you must master how to build it right. If you're trying to build something that will last for long or even outlive you, then you must take brand building very seriously. So, what is brand identity? This is where we begin to go into real business. Brand identity, now there are sets of elements used to communicate or represent a brand. So we have said brand is what the impression or the gut feeling or the experience or the memory you have about someone. Now, there are elements in business that we use to communicate or represent a brand. For instance, when you have a logo as a business, your logo is an element of your brand. When you have brand colors, the colors that you use in your business, these elements, they help to what? Communicate your brand. But before you begin to design elements, you must have first of all understood or defined what you want to be known for. What kind of experience am I giving people? What kind of gut feeling or impression am I trying to create? Because this is where a lot of people miss it. Immediately they think about the business, the first thing they think about is, let me just get one logo, let me just get one website, let me just get letterhead. No, before you go to this area, you must have first of all defined what you want to achieve here. Are we together? So building blocks of a brand. What are the building blocks of a brand? The first one is the words you use. The words you use. Remember, a brand is not built in factories, like I said. Your brand is not your service. Your brand is not your product. Your brand is the gut feeling people have about you. Your brand is the impression people have created about you or formed about you. Your brand is the experience people have had about you. Your brand is the memory people have about you. So when we are talking about building blocks of a brand, how do you build this brand? It begins with what? Or the first element here is what? Words. The words you speak. The words can create an impression. The words can give an experience. The words can leave a memory. Are we together? The next thing is appearances. There is a story of a lawyer who needed the help of a senior lawyer just to be able to have a breakthrough in the industry. And he met with this senior lawyer. He needed his help to just lend him some credibility so that people can also trust in his expertise. And when they got to the lawyer's office, the senior attorney and all of that, the man just told him, well, I really don't have much time today for us to be talking or get talking. Let me just take you around these premises so that we can just, catch some fun and see what's happening. And then just by working with the senior lawyer, he just worked about 5 minutes, and then the man dismissed him. He started going. And as he was going to the gate, people started collecting his number. So we just saw you with so person. Please, can you help us? The impression that scenario created was that for them to be working together, they are possibly partners or they are possibly working together. So just by working with someone, you've created an impression. I shared in one of my videos on Instagram some time ago that the person you snap picture with and you post on social media is actually creating an impression. The places you go and you snap picture, you're creating an impression. The event you attend, you're creating an impression. So words, appearances, these are building blocks of a brand. The next thing is your association. The kind of people you identify with or associate with. The quality of people that you identify with or associate with. These things, you're building a brand with them. And these are some of the things many people do, and they don't know that what it is called is branding. The next thing is your style. It could be your unique style in your industry. Are we together? The next thing is your story, the kind of story you're telling. You're building a brand with it. The kind of story you're telling, you're building a brand with it. And I must help you understand something about storytelling. One thing about having a powerful story is that it is the magnet that draws the kind of people that really resonate with you towards your brand. Your story is a magnet. Your story is a magnet. Because with your story, you're communicating what you've been through, the problems you've had, the mountains you've conquered, the challenges you've overcome. Are we together? And these are the things that help people to see you at a human level. So for instance, you're selling a product or you're selling a service, and it is very powerful quality product or powerful quality service. However, with your story, people now begin to see you that you are not just a credible or a professional at this thing you're doing, but you've been through the pain the people you're doing it for have gone through. There is a difference between I sell paracetamol and I've once had a headache. Are we together? Selling the best paracetamol in town is not the same thing as I have once had headache. That is the power of stories. And that is how many people cash out in the market. That is how they make huge numbers in the market, because they can tell a story, or they are able to tell a story that captivates the market. And it is like an unfair advantage that you're not necessarily the best in town. You're not necessarily the best option available, but because of a story that you used. Am I making sense? Beautiful. So, building blocks of a brand, the next thing is impact. Impact. The importance of these is that you're not just recording successful transactions, but impact is where you record accomplished mission, transformations in the life of people that have used your product or hired you for your service. Are we together? Business talks about successful transactions, sales you've made, because business grows on sales. Are we together? But a brand grows on what we call trust. What is the record of impact you've had? On how many people? What changed the moment they encountered you? What changed after they used your product? Those testimonials, that is where impact is recorded. And impact leads to track record. The next thing is track record. So we're talking about building blocks of a brand. I think these 7 things, if you can get these 7 things right, I can tell you that nothing can really stop you building a great brand. If you can get these 7 items right. All right, so the next thing is brand identity systems. Brand identity systems. Remember, we said brand identity, they are set of elements that help you to communicate or represent your brand. No, so now we are talking about what are brand identity systems. The first thing is what? Brand assets. The first thing you would have or you need to have as a brand, you're just starting out afresh in an industry, is brand assets. What are brand assets? Brand assets are those elements that can be trademarked. They belong to you, you own them. And when you're building brand assets, you need a professional or at least have some level of understanding of what brand assets should look like, what a logo should look like, what your colors should be, what your typography patterns and icons and all of that, what they should look like. For instance, this is where we begin to talk about psychology, because these things are visual elements. These things are visual elements. So you need to understand what is color psychology. For instance, if I'm using red in my brand, what does a red stand for? If I'm using blue in my brand, what does blue stand for? If I'm using green, what does green stand for? If I'm using gold, what does gold stand for? For instance, part of the things you said you want to communicate or portray as a brand is professionalism and trust. What is the color that best communicates professionalism and trust? Blue. Are we together? And that is why you will hardly see a restaurant or an eatery that doesn't have elements of yellow and red. Do you know why? Have you seen any restaurant or eatery that has black in their color? You hardly see. Many of them will always be yellow, red, maybe sometimes brown, maybe sometimes some sweet pastel colors, if they're into creameries and all of that. You get what I'm saying? They are trying to communicate something without words. Just by color psychology, they are communicating something, because red and yellow, they are warm colors that communicate energy, excitement, hunger, appetite. These are colors that trigger appetite. Does that make sense? So when you're building your brand asset, you must understand the psychology behind the things you're doing. Typographies too, we have different families of fonts. We have different classes of fonts that represent or communicate different things depending on what your brand stands for. Does that make sense? All right. So the next thing is brand collaterals. We've talked about brand assets. Remember, these things can be trademarked. The next thing is what brand collaterals. We're talking about brand collaterals. We're talking about your letterhead, mostly the printed, merchandise materials, official materials that you use for day-to-day operational purposes or marketing purposes. For instance, the letterheads, the ID cards, your complimentary cards, they're for marketing purposes. They're for official, correspondences. You're sending out letters and all of that. You need your letterhead. So the relationship between a brand collateral and a brand asset is that brand collaterals are made up of brand assets. So on your letterhead, you will see your logo. Are we right? Yes. On your letterhead, you will see your colors. You'll see maybe your icons and all of that in the design of the collateral. Another example is we have product packaging, your merchandise materials like your t-shirts. You have branded t-shirts. Those are brand collaterals, because on your branded t-shirt, you will definitely have your logo, maybe your tagline, and you get what I'm saying, and maybe your phone number, your website, and all of that. All of them will be on your collateral. So that is the difference between a brand asset and a brand collateral. So the next thing are marketing communication platforms. So we have your social media, your flyers, email signature, video ads, PR elements, and all of that. So these are the three things we always see on the external. These are the three things. You see the brand asset, you see the logo of the company, maybe on their Instagram handle, on their LinkedIn, handle and all of that. You see their collaterals, maybe their, their t-shirts, you see their mugs, you see their pen, you see many things like that represent the company. And then you see their social media handles. You can follow them and all of that. So these are things that many people use externally to communicate their brand presence. But before you get to this level, it must be clear what you are trying to communicate. Before you get to this level, it must be clear what you are trying to communicate. If it is not clear what you're trying to communicate, you will get it all wrong here. So these are some examples. You see, like I said, the letterhead, you can see the consistency in the colors. You can see the logo everywhere. You get what I'm saying? So if I'm looking at a brand identity system like this, I may assume that maybe they are into environmental conservation, whatever, or maybe they are into investment. Marketing communication. Oh, so sorry. All right. Can we move?
Because of time, we can tell them that the slides will be shared together. So,
okay. All right, and then for those who probably cannot catch up with the notes, don't worry, the slide will be sent to you. I was just told from the organizers that the slide will be sent to you. So please, let's just listen to what I'm saying. Don't carry the weight of trying to meet up with the notes. The slide will be sent to you. Is that okay?
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah, so let's just pay attention to what I'm saying. All right, so like I was talking about a brand identity system, from the colors, right? From the visual cues you're picking from, maybe their logos and all of that, you can already assume which industry this brand is, what they are probably doing, or the category their service falls under. Am I making sense? That is the essence of what having a clear brand communication system. And that is why sometimes, if you don't know all of these things, or you don't even have the time to start saying, okay, I want to generate a logo by myself, I want to generate the identity system by myself, just get a professional or partner with a professional who can help you with all of these things. And also, the reason you need to understand this thing is that when somebody is doing it for you, you can ask the right questions. You get what I'm saying? There's a difference between having the money to pay a professional and having the right questions to ask a professional. And even the right question will help you to filter who is a professional and who is not a professional. You get what I'm saying? All right, so I think this is the end of this session. So for questions, we can ask questions about what we've just discussed so far. I will start with the question that the lady over there asked. You asked that if we have just 15 seconds to form an impression, now what about a salesperson that is about to market a product to a customer? Does the person have 15 seconds to, sell the product well? Yeah. One thing about sales, and let me say sales conversation with prospects, is that your marketing begins before the conversation. The purpose of a salesperson is actually for education. And let me make it clear. No matter how good your product is, no matter how professional a salesperson is, a customer that doesn't have the pain you are solving, or a customer that has already solved it, will not buy. And I want to ask you, the last time you bought an expensive gadget or something that is valuable to you, what was the first thing you did before you made the purchase decision? If I may guess, you researched about what you want to buy. You did some research. You went on maybe social media, Google, online, you did some research, saw options everywhere. In fact, maybe use YouTube to see reviews of people, what people have said about that thing. Am I making sense? Before you eventually decided which brand to buy and which product, model, or whatever to buy. So when somebody comes to buy your product, What they've done something before coming to you. They've done their research. So the conversation they're coming to have with you is not necessarily for you to convince them. It's to give them more enlightenment about why they are choosing you. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
That is why I tell people that if it's at the point of sales conversation or negotiation that you are now, defending your price, it is already too late. It is already too late. People now do their research about any product, about any service, even before they come to meet you. So the moment you understand this, you start positioning yourself at those areas where people are doing their research. So that is why we tell people, have a presence on Google. At least have Google Business Profile. It is free. Be on social media. Be visible online. Because these are the platforms people will see when they are ready to make a purchase that relates to what you're doing. And if you are not found there, you have already lost the first battle. Am I making sense? If you are not found at the moment where people are making inquiries about what they want to buy, you've lost the first battle. So if you're having a sales conversation with a sales personnel or representative, that 15-second rule doesn't necessarily apply again, because whoever is coming to you at that point already has some level of information already. They've filtered between among several options before coming to meet you. Okay. So, do you have any other question? Any other question? Okay.
When, okay, for instance, you already had a grant, but based on the knowledge you had, you didn't identify your colors and everything properly. And from what you said, and although I've heard it before, that there's always no second chance for an impression. Now you already have a presence online and all that. But since you've acquired the knowledge of branding and you want to build brand business, how do you go about it? For example, I'm into Techies squares and programs.
Okay.
The brand already had a logo based on a legacy, like you were saying, legacy. And now, based on the knowledge that, from what I've understood from what you said, it seems to have a word without saying it based on what you have. So how do you go about it in this scenario?
Yeah, that's a good question. Many people will start wrongly. Many people will start wrongly. And one thing about brand building is that there's always a room for evolution. There is always a room for evolution. Like I said, it's a popular quote that there is no second chance for what? A first impression. But then one beauty of brand building is that a first impression has been made. It was probably poor or bad, or not the best of it. The second time you are giving another impression, it may not be to that first person again. It may be to another person. But the moment the second impression is a hit, and the brand begins to grow like wildfire, it will reach the first person one day. You get what I'm saying? So it is okay that, for instance, one question I was even anticipating from this class today is that, what if your product or your service fails to meet its standard and the customer is angry? How do you resolve the issue? Because it will always happen. No matter how intentional you are a human being. Are we together? It will always happen. So sometimes it's possible that some people already have bad impression about you. Some people already have, bad reports or bad taste and all of that. But the thing is, after that has happened, the next question is, how did this issue or this error happen? What can we do to correct it? We may not have the opportunity again with that person that is already angry, or with that person that has already seen us in a terrible light. We may not have the opportunity again, but for the next person, it is worth correcting. You get what I'm saying? For the sake of the next person, it is worth correcting. So when there is an issue in a brand or with a brand, after you have tried every reconciliation or reconciliatory measures, and it is not working with that person, you focus on the rest. Does that make sense? Yes, that is one of the principles of PR, public reputation. You get what I'm saying? It is not everybody that will see you in a good light. In fact, if what you are selling is long life and prosperity, not everybody will like you. If what you're selling, not everybody will like you. So you need to accept it first. You get what I'm saying? You will have those who don't just like you for no reason. In fact, for the silliest of reasons, they don't just like you. But to be a brand, you must always think of the majority, not the minority. So if you've realized that, okay, my branding is not the best of its kind, I can still make some improvements, you define a set date. Okay, maybe by third quarter of the year, maybe by last quarter of the year, we are going to do a reintroduction of the brand, and you plan towards it. In fact, you make a big news. If it is possible, you have the budget, you do PR about it, go on blogs and talk about it. Maybe it's our 50th anniversary, and then we're trying to do a reintroduction. You get what I'm saying? So there is always a room to improve what you think is not okay in your brand. All right. Any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. So before we go for maybe like a 5-minute or 10-minute stretching of legs, let's enter the second section of this training. Now, the second section of this training, we'll be talking about personal brand and corporate brand. We've talked about branding, and brand identity. Now, the next phase will be to understand the difference between a personal brand and a corporate brand. So, I used an ideology the other time. An analogy the other time, and the analogy is you meeting somebody for the first time. You remember the analogy? When you meet somebody for the first time, you start forming opinions about the person. If you get to talk to the person or with the person, you start having an experience. And when you leave, you start having memories of the person. We talked about that. Good. That is a personal brand being described. So we said your brand can exist in three phases: the impression, the experience, and then the memory. So let's talk a bit about corporate brand. Now, corporate brand isn't necessarily a human being or a singular person. Corporate brand is an organization, a team. Are we together? A company that has its own identity, independent of any human. Are we together? Yeah. So, this is personal brand. I think we're already familiar with this definition, so there's no need talking about it again. So now, a corporate brand is really no different from a personal brand. The only difference is that in a personal brand, we're talking about a person. In a corporate brand, we're talking about an organization. That is the only difference. In a personal brand, we are talking about a person. But in a corporate brand, we're talking about an organization. However, in this relationship, one brand or one type of brand always rests on the other. The business brand or the corporate brand will always rest on the personal brand. And I can prove it to you. The last time you felt bad about a company, about a business, it was somebody in the business that pissed you off. Am I correct? Yes, sir. A human being in the business pissed you off. And then you carried your vexation and poured it on. Am I making sense? Yeah. Your whole anger was at the company. You didn't call the individual by name and say, this person offended me. You called the company and say, these people, their Zenith Bank is rubbish. You just because somebody inside Zenith Bank offended you. Am I making sense? So that is the relationship between a personal brand and a corporate brand. Now, let me give you some more detailed, illustration. Looking at the personal brand, under it, you have a unique vision, you have approach, you have style, you have philosophies. Can you see that? You have vision, approach, style, and philosophies. So every corporate brand begins with one person. Every corporate brand begins with a person with a vision, a person with a unique approach or view of life, a person with a unique burden to solve a problem, a person with a unique style and a unique set of philosophies or worldviews. Are we together? Every corporate brand begins with such a person. And the person believes that with these things I have, I can influence a generation, I can cause a change. Are we together? And then it begins to get people to join him or her, to build the vision, to imbibe the approach, the style, and the philosophies. Are we together? And before you know what is happening, we now have a business brand or a corporate brand. Does that make sense? So a personal brand represents an individual. A corporate brand represents a company. But then every corporate brand flows from the personal brand. That is what I tell people. Before you start talking about building a team, have a vision. Before you start talking about building a team, have your philosophies, your value systems, have them well documented. Before you start talking about building a team, whatever makes you unique as a person in your worldviews, in your approach, in your style, have all of these things documented. Because you won't be able to successfully build a team if you cannot pass them on to the next person. If you can't pass these things on to the next person, you won't be able to successfully build a team. So team building is not just about getting people that have skills. No. Team building is about getting people that share your vision, that are ready to imbibe your approach, your style, and your philosophies. Does that make sense? Yes. Because at the end of the day, the success, the survival of your corporate brand depends on these things. That person that offended you at Access Bank can have all the skills, can even be the best employee. Are we together? So it's always not about the skill. It's about, if I'm not there, can this person do it like I am the one who did it? Am I making sense? And always remember, skills can be taught, but it's very difficult to teach these things. Very difficult. In fact, these things are really not taught. They are caught. You can't teach me your vision. If I can't catch it, I can't catch it. You get what I'm saying? So, fact about the personal brand. Yeah. It is the root and the basis of trust, reputation, and legacy. Everything the corporate brand will be known for, it always begins with the founding person, the founding father of that brand. There are so many things we know and love about Apple today that they originated from the person called Steve Jobs. Are we together? And one thing you must always understand about the brand is every corporate brand takes after and looks like the owner. The day Elon Musk took over Twitter, Twitter changed all its look and everything to start looking like Elon Musk. So if there is a change in leadership of any brand, automatically give it a few days or weeks, the corporate brand will start reflecting the values, the visions, the beliefs of the new leader. Does that make sense? Because every corporate brand thrives on the things the leader celebrates, the things the leader supports, the behaviors that the leader permits. A behavior that the leader does not permit will never thrive. Am I making sense? And it is in permitting behaviors that we start having practices, that we start having organizational culture. It is the behaviors you permit that shapes the culture that exists in your organization. So you can say that when you're talking about building a brand as a corporate, you can't separate building a brand from structure and systems and people. A personal brand shines best when there is clarity of identity. Remember the first thing I said, you must define what you really want to be known for. A personal brand shines best when there is clarity of identity and then intentionality in communicating that identity. You must be sure what you stand for, what you represent, and then you must be intentional in communicating it. There is something I tell my team. When we are sending invoices, I review the invoice and I tell them, anything you cannot explain how it is going to technically happen, never let me see it in the invoice. So using big grammar, big English that you cannot explain what is the purpose of this thing, how does it help the business, why we are doing it, and all of that, don't let me see it. And over the years, they've known that about me, that I will scrutinize what you are writing to a client or to a prospect. I will scrutinize it to the letter. So that has become an ingrained behavior. Now, when we are sending out an invoice, if you call us to a panel, board of directors to come and defend what we've written, we will defend it with clarity. Another thing I've ingrained in my members, my team members, is we don't price people by sizing them up. No, we don't have price for the rich. We have package for the rich. Not price, not that the person looks like they can afford it, so let us hit them with price. No. I intentionally made my team understand that that is not my value. It doesn't look like me. So if you're building a brand, you must be ready to stand your feet on the ground and say, this is what I stand for, and this is what must thrive in this company. And that means it must be a rule you have placed above yourself. That means you yourself, you are following it. Are we together? A personal brand is an embodiment of your story, your message, and your impact. A personal brand is an embodiment of your story, your message, and your impact. Now, this is something about personal brand as well. Every personal brand is completely tied to an individual. Every personal brand is completely tied to an individual and cannot exist beyond the person's lifetime. That's the personal brand. That is one thing that differentiates between a personal brand and a corporate brand. A corporate brand can exist beyond the individual that started it. But immediately a personal brand, a person dies, the legacy can still live on. We can still remember what the person stood for. Are we together? Yes. But no other person can wear that personal brand after the person has gone. Does that make sense? No other individual can wear that personal brand like the person who started it. Yeah, this is what we've explained so far. A personal brand remains the foundation for the business brand. Now, fact about the business brand. Okay. Okay, sir. I like my sister's style here. She doesn't have time for stress. And thank God for AI. AI can even help you to pick those words and even turn them to a note. We're in the age of AI now. You can take a full screenshot and then you can pick out the text and all of that. All right, can we move to the next slide? Please don't forget the slide will be made available to you. So you really don't need to. You said, what if? Okay, please, we need to watch time. I need to move. Sorry about that. Fact about a business brand. A business brand is always a reflection of the leader. So that is why the leader will always take the fault, will always take the blame for anything that goes wrong in the business. Whatever goes wrong in the business, it's either you permitted it, you allowed it to thrive, you did nothing about it. So whether you were the one who did it or not, you take the blame. That's it with a business brand. A business brand is sustained by systems and structures. A business brand is sustained by systems and structures. You're welcome. I would like to explain this a bit. When we are talking about building a brand deals with increasing your trust in the minds of people, right? You want people to trust you more. That is what branding means. Or that is what branding helps you to achieve. Are we together? So branding thrives on trust, or your brand thrives on trust. The more people trust you, the greater your brand becomes, the stronger your brand becomes. Are we together? However, in order to sustain the trust that people have in you, you must have systems and structures in place. Now, this is not a business structure class. However, they are all interrelated. So I need to mention a bit about it. What is a system? A system is setting a rule of how things should be done. A system is simply a rule of how things should be done. Are we together? A system is a rule of how things should be done. So, your marketing is a system. You have rules of how your marketing is done. Are we together? Your sales is a system. You have rules of how your sales should be carried out. Are we together? Operations is a system. You have rules of how your daily operations are being done. Are we together? Accounting is also a system. So that a system is always embodied in different departments or units in a business. So you have the accounting unit, accounting department, operations department, HR department, marketing department, sales department, legal and advisory, research and development. These are different systems because there are rules that guide how they carry out their day-to-day activities. Does that make sense? And what is a structure? A structure simply tells of who does what, period. Structure are human beings. So you have a system in place that dictates how things should be done. Then structure represents the human beings you put in specific areas of the system. Does that make sense? So are you following me? Beautiful. Are you getting it? So for instance, your business has grown so big, you have so many customers to attend to, and you can no longer meet up on your own to fulfill certain obligations. You now need to have somebody to join you in the team. As you have somebody to join you in the team, you give the person rules of how certain things are done, rules of engagement. And those rules stem out of what you used to do before you start to what? Delegate it to somebody else. And those things stem from your values, your worldviews, your beliefs, your philosophies, and all of that. So you can now say that everything begins with you, what you see, how you see life, your value systems. It then transcends to how you do things. Then it then transcends to how you train people to do things for you. Does that make sense? And these things are needed because it is easier to say we always deliver on time when you have just 10 people to deliver to. Imagine when they grow to 100. Are you following, ma? You have just 10 people. You are doing it on your own. You are hustling it out. It is easy. You can keep priding in the fact that you deliver on time because they are still within your capacity. But what happens when, by God's grace and by your excellence of delivery and all of that, customer base now grows from 10 to 100? So many people started out as a very beautiful brand, a lovely brand. But what killed them was growth. Growth killed them. The same thing we pray for. Because they didn't pay attention to what? Systems and structures. So you can have beautiful intentions starting out. But how do you manage sustainability when things begin to go out of hand? You will need to have systems and structures in place. Sorry. All right. The next thing, a business brand is known through the consistency of its message. Consistency in delivering on its promise, and the visible culture that exists among the people within the business. I would like to talk a bit about this as well. Brand building is not delivering value once in a while. Brand building is not fulfilling your promises once in a while. Brand building is not delivering value by luck. Brand building is not delivering value or fulfilling your promises by luck. Brand building means that you have been able to take care of whatever factors can play out, and under any factor, you will still deliver value. Does that make sense? Brand building is work, is real work. Brand building is not just talking nice and looking nice or flashy on social media. That is not building a brand. No. Real brand building is work that you are daily considering several factors that can play out, especially even in the Nigerian context, because Nigeria can happen as well. That when Nigeria happens, how does it affect my delivery? For instance, I was coming for this event. I was supposed to be here at 10. I got to a place around, is it Ozoba or where? At around 9:35 or so, and I saw that the train already blocked. So if I'd entered the road later than that, I would have been stuck. And I was driving. I can't carry my car on my head. I would have been there. So brand building is real work. It's not talking nice on social media. The thing is, how can you consistently deliver on your promise? How can you consistently, deliver on, the value you promise to deliver? So it is better that people are surprised on the day you fail on your brand promise than for them to be surprised on the day you deliver on it. Think about it. It's a better place to be that people are surprised on the day you fail on your brand promise than for them to be surprised on the day you deliver. It shows the kind of brand you are. Imagine that I came early today, like, Jesus, wow, you came early today. That kind of surprise isn't a good surprise for a brand. So they are clapping on the day you came early. Like, wow, what happened today? You get what I'm saying? But it is better if the day you came, they say, sir, this is unlike you. What happened? That is a better brand. Meaning they never expected you to come late based on your track record. But the day you now came early, based on your track record, they are shouting hallelujah. You get what I'm saying? So we're talking about building a brand. It's good to be known for something. That is the essence of building a brand, that you are known for something. Because the truth is, trust is only built when there is consistency in place. If I have to pray to God before ordering cake on your platform, say, God, this one I want to order today, let it be that they will deliver on before. If I have to add prayer before I can get value for what I paid for, then you are not a trusted brand. You get what I'm saying? Yes, sir. So brand is built in consistency, that people can trust you that you stand for something. And I can tell you something for free. The real work of building a brand is that you limit the number of sorry you say. Because every sorry is a withdrawal from your credibility. The day you fail and you say sorry, they will say, well, from your track record, you've always been delivering, so today we pardon you. But if you repeat that sorry again, they start looking at you with suspicion. Something is wrong with this brand. We need to start taking note or start looking for an alternative. Because the last time it was sorry, now again, sorry. So every sorry you see as a brand is a withdrawal from your credibility account. And the credibility account can reach 0. Does that make sense? So you can now say that it's beyond talking nice on social media. It's beyond flashy designs on Instagram. A business brand has the capacity to outlive its founding leader. A business brand has the capacity to outlive its founding leader. Like we mentioned, one of the cons of a personal brand is that immediately the person dies, no other person can wear the personal brand again. But a corporate brand, it can outlive the founder. Steve Jobs is no more, but some of the things that Steve Jobs represented are still, on today. So that is one thing about a business brand that I've personally come to understand in my 7 years of building. And I can tell you for free that it's not a smooth walk. When the rubber hits the road, you will see that there is real work. There is real work. There are times that you just hire a new person to join your team, and the person has not yet acclimatized with the culture, with the way of things in the company, and the person will fail. And when the person fails, you must have a system of making up for that failure so that it doesn't reflect in the customer's delivery. So there are times that you have to do extra work as a leader. And whether you like it or not, as long as you are delivering value, your customer base will grow. People will refer you. People will recommend you. Number of customers and all of that will start growing. Your complexity will start increasing. And then you now have a lot of other aspects of your life to develop as well. Before, maybe you're just a skillful caterer or a fashion designer. Now you now realize that because of the number of clients trooping in, you need to grow in your leadership. Perhaps you need to now grow in managing people. Before, it's just yourself you manage, but now you now have to manage 3, 4, 5 more people. Another thing I needed to learn on the journey is that if something is going to take me 3 days to finish, I will give 1 week. I will promise 1 week. Because I know that the next 7 days, the next 4 days, I can use it to make up for whatever happens that I cannot control. But if something, for instance, you're into the kind of business that you depend on logistics in Nigeria, the logistics company gives you 3 days, and you give the customer 3 days, you're in trouble. And these are things that ruin a brand. These are things that ruin a brand. It is not the logo that ruins the brand. It's not the colors that ruin the brand. These are the little things that ruin the brand. So in order to keep your brand surviving, keep your brand thriving, there are so many things you need to understand beyond the skill. Are we together? Beyond the production of the product or the delivery of the service, you must understand people management, you must understand diplomacy, you must understand communication, you must understand how to manage customer expectation. So many things you need to learn on the job. Does that make sense? All right, so thank you so much for your time. This is our first session. I would probably be giving us 10 minutes for stretching your legs and all of that. But before we go, if you have questions for this last one we just had, please, you can ask your question. Any question? Any question? Any question? You mean we all understood what I said so far? Okay. Can you bring out a sheet of paper? So I'm really a good teacher. So bring out a sheet of paper. Let us do some tests. All right. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, you have a question. Okay.
Do I have to just
I just hold it.
Okay, my name is Hope Orowan. On the brand building, because I just work in
People need to hear you.
Okay, on the brand building, yeah, I'm just coming about his explanation are well clear, but then you know that a brand can actually have
Can we reduce the noise? You can speak up.
a brand can actually have a tradition, a culture that is enabling the brand to sell faster. But at a point, what if in a situation whereby should I say, the government, the system change, and this brand is excelling with this culture, and then this culture is, should I say, is no longer what should be in a system of the government.
That's the new government.
Yes, you understand. So, and this particular culture is helping the brand. How do you go about this thing? Because now, let me say, government has said this shouldn't happen again, but that is helping the business.
I get you. Yeah, thank you so much for that beautiful question. When it comes to brand building, one reality of the business world is that there is something we call pestle analysis. The pestle analysis simply talks about the several environmental factors, external factors that affect a business. We have the political factor, environmental factor, technological factor, sociological factor, and many of them, legal factors as well. Now, these are external factors beyond, we have internal factors. When we talk about SWOT analysis and all of that, we have external factors. Now, when it comes to government policies, the truth is, the only way business leaders try to stay afloat government politics is through lobbying. It's through lobbying. Yeah, it's through lobbying, through relationships. through getting first-hand information even before it happens. Yeah. That is one reality of business. This one is completely, actually, your question is outside of branding. This one is not branding. Because no matter how beautiful your brand is, a government policy can shut down a business instantly. 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 PR will not solve it. It's going to rescue the matter. So, the only way business leaders try to, see how to maneuver this kind of things is actually through love in relationships. So it's another lesson I probably need to pass across. This one is not part of our class, but another lesson you need to learn that business is beyond serving people and having good conscience or good intentions. Business is also knowing how to relate with people in order to have leverage. You must always fight to have leverage in business. You cannot thrive in business without any form of leverage. You need leverage. And that is why sometimes it is good practice that you're having an outlet, maybe a shopping mall or whatever in your area. Know the thugs in the area. Yes, the touts, the street guys in the area. Know them, have good relationship with them. You may be a Christian, a believer, whatever it is, have good relationships with people. The police station around your area, the what's it called? The DPO in command, have good relationship with the person. In fact, maybe you are selling bags, go there and present one bag to the person for girl or girl's wife. Have a presence everywhere. Know somebody in the filling station. One thing about Nigeria is that you must know somebody. That's just it. Not that you're using it for evil necessarily, but so that when evil comes to you, you can escape. For instance, they are, what's it called? They are clearing some roads. They want to expand the road and then they are destroying some buildings. And your shop is there. What may save you may be one of the touts in that area that knows you. I say, this one, wait until Madam comes. You will not be able to. They will stop the people working. You get what I'm saying? So relationships will go a long way in helping your business. You must learn how to build relationships. You must learn diplomacy. It's important because there are factors beyond your control. That only one relationship. And like I said, it's not just relationships above you. You get what I'm saying? Even people that seem not to matter, they matter. They have their own day. So you must learn to build good relationships with people. That's just it. So thank you so much for your question. I believe that has helped a lot of people. So I think we have about 10 minutes. By 11:30, we'll be back. Yeah. Okay, okay. What will happen is so that we can have the 10 minutes, let people go. You can meet me in person or ask when we come back by 11:30. By 11:30, you can ask the question or meet me in person. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So branding and marketing communications. I'm sure we're all familiar with this already. Branding is every effort you put in place to create an impression, to design an experience, or send a signal to an intended audience about your brand. Yeah, so let me. Like, I think it's being controlled from the control room. All right. I heard somebody say this is different from the first one. It's the same thing. Oh, beautiful. Let me explain something. Branding is very popular, and as popular as it is, so is also the definition. You will have several definitions of branding. You will come across several definitions of what a brand is. However, how you will know a genuine and trustworthy definition of a brand is in 3 areas. Number 1, does it agree with the principles of effective communication? Because branding is communication. Any definition of branding that doesn't agree with the principle of effective definition is wrong. Number 2, does it agree with the principles of human behavior or human psychology? Any definition of branding that doesn't agree or support the principles of human behavior, how people think, are we together, is wrong. And number 3, branding is measurable. Branding is not vague, it is measurable. So any definition of branding that doesn't portray it as something that can be measured is not correct. Any issue? Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So every effort or attempt you make in creating an impression, designing an experience, or sending a signal to an intended audience about your brand is what I'm branding. Now, talking about marketing. Branding is about your identity, who you are. You remember, marketing is about the unique value in what you are selling. So let me differentiate it for you. Say marketing, it is the definition, the communication of your brand's unique value proposition. So in marketing, you are telling people what is unique about what you're selling, the value in what you're selling, and why they should buy. Are we together? In branding, you are communicating who you are, what you stand for, what you represent, the values you uphold. Does that make sense? But in marketing, you are going down to the detail of this is what makes this product or this service unique. And this is the reason you should buy. So branding is ideological. Branding is ideological. It's about you. It's about what you stand for. It's about your company, who we are as a company, our culture, our values, our vision, our story. That is branding. Are we together? But in marketing, you're dealing with the product you sell, the service you render. And then you're making the market to see the value in that product, the value in that service, and why they need to purchase it. Does that make sense? Do we understand the difference? So when a company is branding or doing branding exercise or activity, they are simply telling their story. Are we together? They are simply sharing their ideology, what they believe, what they stand for, or what they represent. But when they are doing marketing, marketing is tailored for a product, a service, an offer. Are we together? Does the difference not make sense? So that means on your branding, you're not necessarily selling. Are we together? When you're branding, you are not necessarily selling. What you are doing in the branding activity or the branding exercise is that you are strengthening the trust that people have for you. Are we together? You are attracting people that believe in what you stand for. Are we together? When you are marketing, that is when you are selling. So both of them must always go hand in hand. So there are people that they do more of branding, less of marketing. And there are people, they do more of marketing, less of branding. The two should go hand in hand. Like I said, your brand grows on trust. Your brand grows on money. So when you want to make money, you market. When you want to grow your trust, you do what? You strengthen your brand. Does that make sense? So branding is showing us who you are, what you stand for, which is your identity in a nutshell. While marketing is showing us why we should trust you to serve us. When you serve people with your product, you serve them with your services. So why should they trust you to serve me? Trust you to serve them. That is marketing. But branding is showing us who you are, what you stand for. What do you represent? That is what branding does. Now, some persons will say branding is only for companies that are big. They have so much money to throw away, since it doesn't directly lead to sales. Many people believe that branding is for people that have big money, to spend. You will see, is it First Bank, or you will see Pick Milk, they'll just get a billboard, put on a flyover. And the billboard is not selling one thing. They're just telling you who they are. They're just telling you something they believe in. It's not selling anything. I can imagine the millions they are using to keep that billboard every month. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with maybe doing all these newspaper publications or getting a blog to feature you. It may not necessarily lead to sales. What we are simply doing is building popularity, getting to the faces of more people, for more people to get to know that you exist. Are you getting what I'm saying? But these two activities, they go hand in hand. So marketing is more of what? A short term. You can see that. Does that make sense? Are we still together? Marketing is more of a short-term activity. Branding is more of a long-term activity because it will not immediately lead to sales. But every piece of well-done branding will always lead to increased trust. You get what I'm saying? Because in the rule of business and sales, not everybody in your market is ready to buy or needs to buy or has something to buy from you. Not everybody available in the market is in need of what you're selling or has an urgency to buy what you're selling. Some persons are even in need, but there is no urgency yet. Do you know that sometimes you need something, you will not buy that thing until there is an emergency in place? Am I making sense? There are certain things you need. You know that you need this thing. And it's not that there is no money, there is money. But simply because that thing has not become urgent, you won't pay attention to it. Am I the only culprit in the house? We all. So you can see the reality of selling. That is why when we are talking about marketing, it's a different ball game. You must understand how to trigger urgency. That is really what sells. So for instance, if you've been meaning to buy something now, like maybe you've been meaning to buy a wristwatch, and you've been doing some passive research, just seeing some wristwatch brands and all of that, and one advert just pops up, 50% offer, closes in the next 3 days. And that is one brand we have been meaning to buy. You just see the advert, 50% offer, 3 days to expire. All of a sudden, urgency has been created. That is marketing. You can be telling me it is good to know time, and I will still not buy. Does that make sense? Because you're not giving, there's no urgency. So you must understand the place of branding and the place of marketing. And you must understand as well that if all you're doing is marketing and you are not getting credibility, you're not getting increased, positive reviews and all of that, you are ruining your brand. Many people focus only on marketing. Just get more new customers to buy. Just get more new customers to buy. The question is, if you're really doing your branding well, you'll be spending less in marketing. You get that? When you invest well in branding, adequately well in branding, you will realize that over the years, you will start spending less in marketing. Because every one person that has bought from you before will be an avenue for marketing. Their reviews will become an avenue for marketing. Word of mouth will begin to speak on your favor. You get what I'm saying? So that is why you must also pay attention to branding, even though it is a long term. Elements of personal and corporate branding, okay? So this is where it gets tactical. A solid profile. A solid profile. If you really want to build a brand in this age that we are in, social media is an amplifier. People have been building brands before social media. People have been building brands before social media. Many of these principles that we are teaching, people have been applying them before social media. However, social media is an amplifier that has come to amplify your efforts. Are we together? So this is where it gets tactical, that if you really want to build a thriving personal brand or corporate brand, you must have a solid profile. And your solid profile begins with your brand statement and your unique selling point or your unique selling proposition. It begins with your unique selling point. What is unique about you? I tell people, don't brand yourself after a product. Don't brand yourself after a service. Don't brand yourself after a trend. I will repeat it again. Don't brand yourself after a product. Don't brand yourself after a service. Don't brand yourself after a trend. Products have life cycles. Products can expire in their relevance. Services have life cycles. They can expire in their relevance. The emergence of AI will be the bane of certain services. Trends, they come and they go. Many people that built a brand around COVID-19, they are no more today. In fact, some people became devilish because of COVID-19, because they started praying that the thing should not go so that they can continue to survive. Because their survival now was now hinged around COVID-19. That's why it is dangerous to build your brand around a product, around a service, or around a trend. Your brand should be built around what you stand for, what you believe in. Your company can pivot to another product entirely, another service entirely, as long as you stand for something that transcends product or service. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
So when you're building your brand, yes, you can market your product, you can market your services, you can portray them as much as you can, but your brand should not be anchored on a product. So that in case, like our brother asked the other time, a government policy can ruin a product. You get what I'm saying? If a product stops existing or stops being needed, or market has shifted and they no longer see relevance in that product, what will you be doing as a business? If you have a brand that transcends product or service, you can easily pivot and your mission continues to live on with another product or with another service entirely. So I built my agency. We are known currently for branding and web solutions, any kind of web solutions, include automations and all of that. But I tell people, I don't know what will be happening in the next 10 years or 20 years. Clarilife Global may no longer be in branding in the next 10 or 20 years. Clarilife Global may no longer be into web solutions in the next 10 or 20 years, but whatever we'll be into will be making life easier for people. I'll be simplifying business processes and customer experiences. Because making life easier will never go out of vogue. Simplifying businesses and processes for people will never go out of fashion. The means of achieving it may change, which is the skill, which is the service, which is the product. Are we together? The current product may no longer be needed, but whatever is needed at that time to achieve the mission, we will switch into it and we'll continue living our mission. Does that make sense? So build a brand that transcends a service or a product. And that is, if you have a vision to last for 100 years, always ask yourself a question. Can my vision be relevant for the next 100 years? A well-refined personal or corporate brand story. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story to tell. If you want to know somebody, I'm getting to meet you for the first time. If I want to know you better, there are 3 areas I look into. Number 1, where you're coming from. What's your story, right? Number 2, what's your vision, where you're going to? And number 3, what you're currently doing. What do you do? If I can know these 3 areas, I have sufficient information about you to be able to say, I know you. Are we together? So every brand must have these 3 aspects. Your story, where are you coming from? Number 2, where are you going? And number 3, what are you currently doing? So your story is about your past, your history, or what triggered the existence or the starting of the brand. You saw a problem in the society, or you encountered a situation, and then you feel so many other people maybe in this situation, and because of that, you started a brand. Are we together? Or maybe your childhood story, something that happened in the past, and then it gave you a vision to start a business around it. You get what I'm saying? So there must be a story, a founding story that inspired the brand. So always ask yourself, what is this story? It may not even be your own story. It may be the story of somebody else, or story of something that is happening somewhere. I just developed a strong burden for that thing, and that is your story. Does that make sense? So there must be a story. It's very important. The next thing, a portfolio. Portfolio helps you to build track record. Portfolio helps you to build what? Track record. Portfolio of clients you have served, brands you've worked with, testimonies of people about you, case studies, and all of that. So as someone who is intentional about building a brand, you must be intentional about improving your portfolio, increasing the quality of your portfolio. But after 3 years of building that business, there should be 2, 3, 4, 5 solid portfolio case studies that we can read about of what you've achieved, what you've done for people, testimonies of people that have passed through, you get what I'm saying, that have been served by your business. It is important that you're documenting your portfolio, and your portfolio also forms part of your story. So for instance, my company is 7 years. I can tell you several things that have happened over 7 years. Many businesses that are still existing today that we are part of their story. You get what I'm saying? So we are documenting our successes, our victories. That is part of your portfolio. Does that make sense? Yeah, track record, your consistent footprint. Also corroborates what I was talking about under portfolio. You must have a track record, something that people can trace. People should be able to find, they want to do some background search about you, they should be able to trace something. You get what I'm saying? Intentional associations and relationships, elements of personal and corporate branding. Intentional associations and what? Relationships, very important. Now, this is both with personal brand and with corporate brand. And this is not only for people that have a business or are creating content as thought leaders on social media. Even if you are working in an organization, You need to grow in all of these things. I tell people, if you are an employee, tell the story of what you are achieving inside the organization. Tell the story of the projects that you are part of within the organization. Tell the story of the things you're contributing to the success of the organization. Because when another company wants to hire you, they want to know what you have done in the past in the other organization you've worked for. That is how they evaluate how valuable you will be in the organization. Does that make sense? So whether you're an employee or an employer, you need to understand building a brand. It's very important. PR or media appearances, element of personal and corporate branding. When you see people tell stories of or go on social media, you see them on LinkedIn or on Facebook. The Vanguard just talked about so that we just achieved in the last 1 year, in the last 6 months, or in the first quarter of 2025. What's it called? What's that platform now? Is it that Vanguard or Premium Times just captured? So it's not that Premium Times came to meet them in their office. They went to meet Premium Times. Vanguard didn't go to their business. They went to meet Vanguard and paid. You get what I'm saying? So that they can feature them. And all these media appearances, they accumulate over time. The credibility value they bring to your company or to your brand accumulates over time. Or even partnerships. Maybe there is an event that is about to take place in your environment, in your local environment, maybe an NGO initiative, and you partner with them. You get what I'm saying? As a company, you can call it CSR, corporate social responsibility. You partner with them, and then media covers it or captures it. Or you do your own documentation, carry your video camera and all of that. Do the coverage of your participation in that thing. That is media appearance. That is PR. You get what I'm saying? So these are opportunities for what? Building your personal and corporate brand. Now, the last one is thought leadership. Thought leadership. What is thought leadership? Thought leadership is how you show yourself to be an expert within an industry, whether as a business or as an individual. Thought leadership is how you show yourself to be the go-to source of truth concerning what you do. The go-to source of truth. That's not necessarily what I mean. The source of truth that I'm talking about is that people can trust you that whatever you say is final. Or they can pick your words and see it as credible to work with. You get what I'm saying? A source of truth. That means people see you that whatever you say, okay, concerning health now, health in Nigeria now, there are some popular people we know in the medical space. That whatever they say, we tend to believe them because of the authority they've built over the years. An example is Aproko Doctor. He has become a kind of source of truth because of the kind of brand he has built over the years. That is thought leadership. And it is simply by consistency. By consistency. But you keep sharing valuable information around what you do so much that people begin to get value from you, apply what you say, and they see it work in their lives, and see that you have done it over the years consistently. You automatically become what? A source of truth. Does that make sense? So businesses do it as a corporate brand. Individuals do it as personal brand. That's thought leadership. That you are leading people with your opinions, with your ideologies. Even as a pastor in a church, you're a thought leader. Jesus was a thought leader. Yes, he was a thought leader. 90% of the things we know about the faith, the Christian faith, Jesus taught them using stories, parables, metaphors. Still going back to storytelling that I was talking about, the power of stories. So whatever you do, to shape culture, to shape people's opinion and views is thought leadership. And the reward you get from it is that you are positioning yourself in people's mind as you do it consistently over time. Element of marketing communication. Now we are talking about unique value proposition. What is unique value proposition? Unique value proposition simply means the promise of value. Proposition is a promise. Proposition is a promise. So value proposition simply means the promise of value. Uber used to say, we are the fastest means to go around. One click and the driver gets straight to you. The driver knows where you're going and payment is completely cashless. That is a unique proposition. Does that make sense? So unique proposition speaks to number one, people's pain points. You must understand people's pain points. What are their pain points? If there are no pain points that you're addressing, it is not a proposition. It's not a value proposition at all. Now, value proposition is not we are skillful. Value proposition is not we are the best. Value proposition is not technical jargon. Value proposition is you speaking the language of your customers. Let me go back to that Uber's value proposition again. Uber will say we are the fastest means to go around. They didn't tell you they are using mobile app. Are we together? They will tell you one tap and the driver comes straight to you. The process behind it is not your concern. What they are using to catch your attention is that one tap and driver comes straight to you. They didn't tell you they have a GPS system in their app. They will tell you that the driver already knows where they are going, where you're going, how. You get what I'm saying? So telling people how is not value proposition. Telling people your processes is not value proposition. Simply addressing their pain is value proposition. We are the fastest or the smartest way to go around. One tap and the driver comes straight to you. The driver already knows where you're going, and transaction or payment is completely cashless. We all know that all of that is achieved through what? A mobile app. But that is not your concern. The concern is that they are addressing the specific pain point. Without Uber or their other alternatives, you stay at the bus stop and wait for hours sometimes. Is it not? But they make it smart such that with a tap, somebody that you don't know before just walks down to where you are. So the process involved is not the business of marketing and communication. You get what I'm saying? The business of marketing and communication is that you are communicating the value that the customer gets, not the process that you go through. Does that make sense? So when you are defining value proposition in your business, always understand that it is the customer's pain point first. What is the pain the customer is going through? And it is not the pain you assume. This must be data-driven. It is not the assumed pain. Sometimes you must do proper market research to get what is called value proposition. You must have interacted with people to hear from them firsthand. Am I making sense? Because without hearing from the customer, you really don't know what they want. You really can't define what they want most times without hearing from them. You get what I'm saying? So it is important that whatever you are calling value proposition, it's really data-driven. Does that make sense? The next thing, a clear understanding of your ideal customer profile, elements of marketing communications, a clear understanding of your ideal customer profile, meaning you must really know them. You must really know them, who they are, what's their lifestyle, what's their earning power, what's their purchasing power. Because when we're talking about business, business is not all. Let me put it this way. Your ideal customer is not the person who likes what you do. Your ideal customer is the person who has the pain that your business is curing and has the purchasing power to buy what you are selling. The ideal customer is not the person that claps for you on social media and tell you, well done, you're doing well. You're doing well on social media is not customer profile. You can get 1,000 or 5,000 well dones on social media and only 2 buyers. Am I making sense? So when we're talking about ideal customer profile, we're not talking about those who clap for you, family and friends, church members. No. We're talking about the people that really have the pain that you are curing. Period. Period. Not anymore. They can be your family members, they can be your friends, your colleagues. They clap for you, they give you emotional support and all of that, but they don't need what you do, period. They can encourage you, motivate you, but they are not the people that will pay you from their sweat to buy what you are selling. For somebody to remove their hard-earned money to buy what you are selling, then that thing must be curing a well-known pain. Am I making sense? So I needed to emphasize on that so that you will understand. Branding is not emotional or sentimental. No. No. Don't be sentimental about it. Who is the person that has this pain? Can I locate one person that has this pain? If you can't locate it, bro, please go and check that thing again. It may not survive in the market. If you cannot locate one person that is ready to pay for that thing, you don't have a business yet. No matter how nice your logo looks, no matter how nice it looks, a solid understanding of your competitive landscape, part of your what? Marketing communications, element of your marketing communication. For you to have a solid market, and you must understand the existing alternatives in the market. You must understand the existing alternatives in the market. Because woe betides a fighter who is going to the battle and doesn't know his opponent. You must understand who your opponents are. Who are the people scouting for the same market I'm scouting for? What are their offers? What are they doing differently? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Because that helps you to know what gaps exist in that market. Am I making sense? That helps you to know the gaps that exist in the market. So you must know who are the people that are currently trying to sell this kind of thing I'm selling, or trying to get this kind of the market I'm trying to get. The next thing is powerful offers and your consistent advertising. You must have an offer. I gave an example the other time. The 50% discount, that is an offer. That is an offer. You must have an offer. Offers are what you use to help people achieve what they have been longing to achieve. Offers are what you create to help people achieve what they have been longing to achieve. So for instance, I've been longing to buy a watch. I've been too laid back to buy the watch. You came with an offer that is helping me to quickly get the watch. That is an offer. For instance, as I am now, and what makes your offer valid is that it is communicating to the problem of one person. A problem of one person. For instance, I see a billboard in Urumola that says, call this number right away, and we can make you a father in the next 10 months. Call this number right away, and we will make you a father in the next 10 months. Is that an offer? How powerful is it? And do you know that, truth be told, many people will stylishly screenshot it and go and get the number when they get home. Am I making sense? Yes. People will be too ashamed to start typing number right in front of the billboard. You get what I'm saying? But some people will stylishly do a snapshot. When they get home, they will pick the number. And some people will see it once, clap for how brilliant it is, and walk away because they already have children. You get what I'm saying? But for those who are still looking for, they will see that maybe this is the. I did NSPPD yesterday. Maybe this is the answer. They do. So you must always have an offer. You must have something you are offering. Marketing communications. The next one is strategic word of mouth marketing. Strategic word of mouth or referral marketing. When people serve you well and you enjoy the service you just hired somebody for, or you bought a product and you enjoy the product, it doesn't take anything. In fact, you happily and willingly make recommendations, especially if somebody you love is asking you, oh, I need something like this, or I need to achieve this or do this. You recommend what you have used happily, is it not? But how happy will you now be when you hear, bring one person and get so discount? Or for every 10 persons you bring, every 5 you get what I'm saying? That is when it becomes strategic. Originally, you are happy to refer somebody because you love the service. But when they now attach an offer to it that even makes you profit for doing it, it now becomes very intentional, is it not? That is how some people convert and turn customers into evangelists. So you give them an offer for being good. And they now take it as a business and like, oh boy, passive income. When everybody's looking for passive income, something they didn't sweat. Just refer somebody, they give you, come on, I will happily, willingly do it. All right. Strategic networking. Oh, the screen, God help me. Strategic networking and community. I won't do you any good if I don't mention this. And the reason I need to mention this is because opportunities revolve in circles. Opportunities revolve in circles. You must be very strategic with your networking and with the community you're participating in. Join communities that can add value to your business, that you can capture value from. There are communities around, several social communities. In fact, if you're a church member here, you already have an active community. Yes, you belong to a church. That is an active community already. Have you seen those who sell snacks in church? If you know how much they make, or those who sell things around church, especially consumables, fast consumable items, food and all of that, if you know how much they make, you may look down on them that they, all these church sellers, but if they show you their records, you'll be shocked. You'll be very shocked. They are leveraging an active community. So you must be very strategic when it comes to what becoming a part of a community, networking, partnerships, collaborations, because this is how you get your brand out there. This is how many more people get to know about you. That thing we call KLT, know, like, and trust. This is the easiest way to build it. People who know you, they like you, and they trust you. It is a very powerful asset in brand building. It doesn't mean in fact, you don't have to be the best. I tell people brand building doesn't mean or doesn't make you the best in town. You don't need to carry the burden of being number one in town. No. Just have enough people that like you, enough people that trust you. You're good. You're good. You don't need to be the best. Because the truth is, your customers are not looking for the best too. Let me leak the secret to you. Don't tell somebody else. Your customers are not looking, they themselves don't even know who the best is. Your customers don't even know. In fact, they're not knowledgeable enough to assess who the best is. The best to your customer is that person that meets their needs and that makes it satisfactory. That is their best. You get what I'm saying? So I tell you, we are the best kineko in Port Harcourt, calm down. Which competition did you organize and you won? Before calling yourself the best. Who gave you the plaque? Who gave you the trophy and called you the best? Just meet people's needs and meet it satisfactorily. You've become their best. See people asking for recommendations on Facebook and see the people that other people are referring. You go and check the people they are referring. You're like, is this the person somebody is referring? But to them, that is their best. And what is best to me may not be best to you. So you can see it is completely sentimental. Completely sentimental. The last one is testimonials. We've talked about this. I won't waste much time on that. Testimonials. Testimonials. All right. How do you measure your brand success? Time is, I'm out of time, so I'm rushing now. Okay, we are done. How do you measure brand success? The first one is increase in reputational value. Like I told you, branding is measurable. Branding is measurable. You're welcome. Branding is measurable. And one metric for measuring your brand success is increase in reputational value. More people should trust you if you're building right. More people should trust you per time if you're building right. Because if I give you a vote of, or a benefit of doubt, right, and then I patronize you once, and I enjoy the service, I will want to come again. Nobody tastes something good and doesn't want another taste. I want to come again. And maybe I may even come and then mention your name to somebody else to go and buy. I even send somebody to go and buy for me, and then the person tastes and says, where did you buy this thing? Will now become 3. You get what I'm saying? So if you're really building your brand the right way, there should be an increase in your reputational value. The next thing is there should be ease and uniformity with which people can describe your brand. People shouldn't find it difficult over time to explain who you are or what you stand for. Over time, after people have interacted with you, experienced you, they should be able, in a nutshell, to describe who you are. The next thing, increase in your ability to command higher price points. This is one beautiful thing I love about branding. When you are building a solid brand, automatically you start charging higher. Yeah. You start charging. You have the power vested on you to start charging higher. And it follows the law of demand and supply, because you automatically become scarce. And the scarcity is not something that is artificial. It becomes scarce because you are a finite resource. That's one. And the number of people seeking for your service, they're increasing in number. You get what I'm saying? So for you to be able to serve more people, you need to charge more. You remember we talked about systems and structure the other time, hiring more people, building leadership, building team, and all of that. They cost money, is it not? Yeah. So if I'm growing my business and I want to be increasing my capacity to serve more people, that means I must be able to charge more to be able to pay more people. You get what I'm saying? For instance, when I started Clary Life Global 7 years ago, I was the only one when I started. The amount I used to make in a month that time, and I would be clapping and I'll be praising God. It is one staff salary now. Yeah, it is one staff salary now. And how are we able to achieve that? Because we are responding to increase in demand. And by responding to increase in demand, we must hire people. You get what I'm saying? So you increase your ability to command higher price points if you're branding right. And people will gladly pay, because that is your premium. I tell people your value is defined from 2 standpoints. Number 1, the weight of the problem you solve. And number 2, the difficulty in finding a suitable replacement for you. Number 1, the weight of the problem you solve. Number 2, the difficulty in finding a suitable replacement for you. When people see that they cannot really find a suitable replacement for you, they will be happy to pay more just because they want your kind of. That is what your brand helps you to achieve. The growth in your customer base, of course, we've talked about this, repeat purchases. The growth in your influence within the community. Your influence grows as you begin to brand right. Sorry? Okay, I said, yeah, how your value is measured. Yes. The weight of the problem you solve, the difficulty in finding a suitable replacement for you. Okay. I want to ask a question based on this picture.
Well,
Okay, I want to ask a question. What brand is this?
BMW,
What of this?
Toyota.
Okay. There is a rich businessman that has business sense, a businesswoman that has business sense. The person needs a kind of car for just logistics purposes or market runs. Are we together?
Yes,
Money is not the problem. Are we together? But the person needs a car that will just serve for logistics purposes, delivering to customer, getting raw materials from suppliers and all of that kind of. Which brand, if you are that kind of person, which brand will you go for?
Toyota.
Toyota?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The same person needs a car for events like business functions, community gatherings, elite meetings. Which one will you go for?
Yeah.
Luxury or nothing? Money is water. Do you know why you made those choices? Because of their positioning. Both of them will achieve the same thing in terms of technical function. But emotional function, they achieve different things. So I tell people, when people are going to markets to buy the same product, they are not going to buy the same thing actually. People go to markets based on their peculiar need. The same person makes two different decisions based on two different scenarios. Both brands are good brands. Are we together? But based on what the person needs to achieve, emotional cravings, are we together? The person made a choice for BMW when it comes to pride and ego. But when it comes to cost management and then effectiveness, the person goes for. So your positioning really is what will be that factor that people will consider to choose you. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Think of yourself as either of this brand. And it doesn't really mean that BMW is making more money than Toyota. It doesn't really mean. Are we together? It's just a matter of defining where you want to position yourself, how you want to position yourself. And if you have the capacity to sustain that position profitably, at the end of the day, your profit determines how successful or how good your strategy is. You get what I'm saying? So you can decide to serve the mass market, the low-end people. Are we together? And still be making money. As long as you have the capacity to serve them. Because serving the mass market takes a lot of rigor. You know that? It takes a lot of rigor. Ask people in FMCG. It's not easy. You'll be hearing high turnover. High turnover doesn't necessarily mean huge profit at the end of the day. Because you must understand your numbers. Revenue is not the same thing as profit. So you must sit down and allow the voice of truth to speak to you and know what you really want and what you have the capacity to handle before you determine where you want to position yourself. You get what I'm saying? So you see, maybe this one is only making 10 sales in a month, and this one is making 100. By the time you calculate how much they have made so far, it may balance out. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So, all right. So, yeah. Just for you to have something to write down, brand positioning test. You must be recognized widely within your industry. That is brand positioning. You must be recognized. If you're really doing your brand positioning well, you must be recognized. Number 2, you must be seen as a benchmark or standard for something. For instance, for BMW, you chose it as a standard for what? Luxury, right? And for Toyota, you chose it as a standard for economy, is it not? So you must be seen as a benchmark or standard for something within your industry. The next thing, you must be loved and patronized by a specific audience group. There must be an audience group, a market segment that loves and patronizes you for what you stand for. The kind of people that will buy Toyota are not the kind of people that will buy. You get what I'm saying? And that is one of the reasons Rolls-Royce doesn't market on social media. Rolls-Royce market at air shows. Air shows where new aeroplanes are being launched. That is where Rolls-Royce does marketing. Because they understand that anybody that can buy a aeroplane can buy a Rolls-Royce. But those who buy Rolls-Royce, they are probably not on social media. Being recognized for meeting a specific customer need or craving. There must be a craving you are attending to. Those who sell an item for $100,000, $500,000, the same item, you can see some wristwatches. They are as expensive as, and it will check the same. It won't tell you when the end of the world will come. It only tells you what is the time, period. And there are some that will charge, you see some wristwatch, 10,000 naira, I have bought a wristwatch, 12,000 naira, I have bought a wristwatch. You get what I'm saying? But then, these two wristwatches are not meeting the same need. There's a kind of prestige that when you roll a Rolex like this, you are making a statement. It's not just to watch time. You get what I'm saying? So you must understand what specific craving are you attending to. You get what I'm saying? There are some people that their decision of the fashion designer that sews for them is not necessarily because of money. It's based on class. Like the class they belong to. You get what I'm saying? This is the kind of fashion brand that sews their clothes. See all those influencers that go for those yearly award programs. They interview them. Tell us about your neck piece. Tell us about your clothes. Tell us about your shoe. Tell us about your bag. And they have to answer. Who made your bag? Who made your shoe? So when they're investing for that kind of thing, they don't go to one tailor Taba because they are spoiling their name. You get what I'm saying? But does that mean tailors at Taba don't make money? They are making stupid money. And probably even the fashion brand that is making clothes for the influencer also goes to Aba. You get it? True backyard, exactly. Now, because the Aba guy is not interested in brand.
Yes.
Just give me money, period. But the guy in Port Harcourt or in Lagos, the guy is interested in brand. So he can take the stress of going to Aba, get it cheaper, and put his logo on it and it becomes a brand. Having a well-defined and a resonating voice within the industry. Having a well-defined and a resonating voice within your industry. Okay, sorry. All right, so that's the end of our session. If you have questions, this is the time for questions. Another question?
So when you are teaching, you are saying that it's not by seeing somebody that tells.
I'm not hearing you
Like
well.
when you are teaching, when you are teaching us, you are saying it's not by seeing somebody that tells that the person can afford it.
It's not by.
Like by seeing somebody that tells that the person can afford it, or when you see somebody who tells that he can afford it, is by the rich packaging.
It's by.
Like the rich packaging. Like the rich packaging. So I don't really understand like what kind of packaging are made for the rich.
Okay. I remember. I remember what you're talking about. All right. So I was talking about in my company, we don't have price for the rich. We have packages for the rich. So he's asking to know more about that. Yeah, it's a good question. What I mean is this. Instead of having fluctuating prices that doesn't have a benchmark, are we together? Yes. Fluctuating prices, which ruins your credibility in the long run. It is better that you design and define a package that this particular package and the deliverables under it are for the rich. The same way you go to a supermarket, you want to buy peak milk. Are we together? Please, can we reduce the noise a bit? Yeah. You want to buy peak milk in the supermarket and then you enter there, you see sachet, right? You see tin, you see the big tin, you see refill, right? They are tending to you based on your pocket size or your purchasing power. They are not checking the car you parked at the lobby to know which one how to charge you. Regardless of which car you parked, whatever money you came with is what determines what you're buying. So as a service-based business, right, you can have different offers or different packages that, okay, if what you have for this particular service is 100K, this is what you could get. If you're bringing 200K, this is what you get. If you're bringing 500K, this is what you get. Does that make sense to you? That is how you productize your service. So when somebody comes with 50K, and that is how you are also able to increase the spectrum of the market that you are serving. So that you are attending to the low class at the same time attending to you get what I'm saying? So one person will not, two people will not be talking and say, I went to Joel Dean, I made one kaftan at 50,000 naira. I said, kaftan 50. The last time I went there, they charged me 200K. Your name has been ruined like that. You get what I'm saying? Yes. So that is what I was talking about there. Any other question? Okay.
My question is this element of personal and corporate branding. you said that a solid profile, a strong brand statement, unique selling point, and you were explaining and you said that when you are branding, you shouldn't make the product, you shouldn't brand within the reach of the product, if I can understand it. Then I want to ask, what is branding without a service or product?
That's a good question. So it's asking, what is branding without a good service or product? A brand, like I said, is ideological. See it as the tripartite nature of the human being. You're a spirit, you have a soul, you live in a body, right? Your brand is what you stand for. You remember that. Your brand is identity. You remember that. Your product and your services, they are the tangible elements with which people can relate with what you are saying. You are telling them that we stand for this. You are telling them that this is who we are. It is through your product and your service that they see it in tangible form. You are honest, I cannot touch it, I cannot feel it until I buy a product from you. That's when I will know whether you are honest or not. You get what I'm saying? That now the idea is I can stand for honesty as a brand, and there can be several chains of products that help me to communicate that honesty. So if one product stops selling, another product can continue communicating the brand.
One of the essence of other products that you can leverage on, like you know, say, what if you're only having one service and you're running?
That's why I talked about pivoting. You can pivot to another thing to still communicate what you stand for. Because like you asked the other question, government policies can come and ruin a product completely. That doesn't mean your brand should die immediately. You can still use another product to still communicate what you stand for. You can pivot to something else. You get what I'm saying? Still using the same brand name. Yeah. So, any other question? Okay.
What if you don't have a product and service? So how do you build a personal brand?
If you don't have a product or a service at all, how do you build a personal brand? Well, there are examples in the community of people who do that. That can help me. There are people who don't have a product or who don't, they don't have any service. All they do is they sell their ideologies. Yeah. He says, thought leaders, content creators, many of them don't have any products. They don't have any service. The only thing they have is their popularity. In fact, they are turning their popularity into the service that they are rendering. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. That's also another niche. Yeah. So what you are simply selling is an ideology, what you stand for. You are building a reputation around who you are, what you should be known for. So people can get, a partnership with them as ambassadors, as brand influencers, and all of that. Yeah. So, any other question? All right. In the absence of questions, thank you so much for having me. I remain Simeon Taiwo, the brand core strategist, and it's been a nice 2.5 hours of us talking. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then also, if you want to contact me or know more about me, I'm sure there is, for those who have not probably taken note of it, from current slide. So this is my contact number. You can see my email address. You can see my website. They're all functional. The number there is my WhatsApp number. If you have any question or any issue you would like maybe a personal assistance with and all of that, yeah, you can always contact me. The email address is working, the number is working, and the website is working. Anything? Okay. Oh, really? Okay, okay, okay. You know what will happen? It will be sent to you as a slide because I've actually spent more than you have a next time facilitator coming. So the slide will be sent to you. The slide will be sent to you. I will see to that myself because I have a name to protect. A question? Okay. Yes. Okay. Let me to call no sir. No sir should. Okay. No sir.